You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 107. And today, we're going to talk about how to avoid some of the most common pitfalls and problems that can happen as you make that tricky switch from thinking like an employee to thinking like a CEO. After all, you are the CEO. I mean, you do own a practice, right? So that's where we're going today. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ideal Practice. This is Wendy Reeves, your host, and I'm so happy to be hanging out with you guys today. How are you doing? How's your life? How are things going? How's work? How's the business? I hope it is hopping. I know that for a lot of folks, the summer is a bit of a slowdown. It's really common. Folks are traveling, kids are out of school. Sometimes the things that seem so urgent at other parts of the year have a way of fading into the background when it's hot and sunny outside and the lake is calling or the mountains. So if your practice is slowing down a little bit, I don't want you to worry about that too much, because that may very well be part of the natural ebb and flow of your business cycles. And learning how to recognize your business cycles is part of being a CEO. How about that? Earlier today, I did a consult with someone new, a nurse practitioner who has just left a traditional clinical practice and started her own business. And it was really exciting to talk with her. She's only been in practice for a little over a year, maybe a year and a half or so. And she's actually doing really, really well. She's doing much better than I think she knows compared to a lot of folks that I have talked to at that stage of the game, and certainly better than I was at that stage of the game. She's making really good money. I think her pricing is decent. It's not where it should be, but it's decent. Her systems are relatively solid. There's a few things I thought that she could do a little bit of work on, but overall, on the outside, things looked really good. And yet, she was struggling a little bit because on the inside, things didn't feel so good. And it strikes me that this is exactly part of what happens, kind of how life is when you shift out of the employee role and into the CEO role. It's a completely different place to be because suddenly you find yourself thinking about things you never thought about before. In this particular case, she was feeling out of alignment, out of integrity with herself. Even though on the outside her practice looks healthy, the truth is she brought some extra layers of skill, extra layers of service, extra layers of value to her work that in a very real way mean that she probably should be charging a decent amount higher than where she is, to be honest, and this will vary depending upon where you are in the country, what market you're in, et cetera, et cetera. But if I just wrote down on paper the things that she brought to the table and you saw that, you'd be like, oh, wow, I bet she's expensive, because she's really good at what she does. She has a wealth of experience. She has some very serious extra kind of training, and she provides a type of service that most people aren't able to provide. That in itself means that her value, her financial value on the market was higher. And a big part, like a serious part of her knows that. And yet, as a new practice owner, as a baby practice owner, I would say, she was struggling with the things that all of us struggle with, which is the guilt and the internal tension between making a decent living, earning a profit, running a healthy for-profit business versus, all that stuff that we are challenged to think about in the health-related fields, because we were not in this to make money, right? Wrong. We are in this to make money, y'all, and to do good. Those are not mutually exclusive at all. If I can come back to that. Anyway, I really enjoyed talking to her because it was so similar to the conversations I've had with so many people. And I was really excited because I feel like she's going to do just fine. She just needs a little bit of help to adjust the way she thinks about her business and to perhaps for a few adjustments to the strategy side. But most of it really was an internal game. And I kind of want to talk about that today. All right. I want to talk about that. And I want to share with you if you will bear with me for a minute, I want to share with you a paragraph or so from one of my favorite books. It's called The Soul-Sourced Entrepreneur. The Soul-Sourced Entrepreneur. I'll be sure and link this below. The subtext is an unconventional success plan for the highly creative, secretly sensitive, and wildly ambitious. And this was written by Christine Kane, who was the coach I worked with for so long. It's an excellent book that really brings to bear the ways that she thinks about things, which was quite different than I think a lot of coaches think. And there's a section in here that I want to share with you. It's one of her numerous guidelines for success, for the things we have to think about as the CEO of our own show. All right. And here's the very first guideline that she offers. And this is what I want to talk about. She says, your business is the playing field for your soul's expansion. And then she says this, let's face it, no matter what all the hyped up internet marketers tell you about all the millions you'll make, all the caviar you'll eat, all the waves you'll surf, and all the sex you'll have as the money rolls in, business is hard. Business is hard. That's because when you commit to building a business, you commit to generating your own, and in many ways, other people's income. You commit to managing your own spirit, your own time, and your own relationships. When you do this, there's no handing over your responsibility to the man, to the boss, to the board, whatever. There's no convenient person out there to blame. You now own all of it. There's no half-assing anything anymore. Everything is whole-assed. Subsequently, your business will deliver all the private revelations that you need for evolving your soul. Got some fear about being seen? Well, you get to heal that and loosen the tight grip of that image-obsessed ego. You get floored by shame, knocked down every time you raise your prices? Well, cleaning up those emotional patterns is the next step. In other words, your business will force you to be aware of and remain in relationships with money, people, communication, ego, challenges, fear, time, all of which will deliver the real breakthroughs that will carry you to your next level of expansion. That's on page 14 of her book. If you want to get this book, it's a fantastic book. What she's talking about there is both kind of the good news and the bad news of running your own practice, of being your own boss. She's talking about what it means to be at cause, what that means. When we step into the role of business owner, y'all, a lot of things have to change about the way we think. We no longer get to focus just on taking care of our clients or doing our work of healing and providing healing. We no longer have the luxury of letting somebody else worry about all those really boring, nitpicky, irritating things like marketing and sales and money management or customer service. I don't care about all that. I just want to help my clients. You don't have that luxury anymore because suddenly we are the ones in charge. We are the ones with all the freedom and the responsibility that entails. So back when I ran a group counseling practice, for example, we had a cleaning service that helped us keep our super busy office in good shape from week to week. We had a 3-story Victorian house, 10 to 12 providers, a parking lot full of cars, Lots of families, lots of kids, sometimes even a dog or two, lots of traffic. That office it was no small thing to keep on top of it, keep things orderly. But when the toilet clogged up or a kid made a mess in the bathroom, who do you think had to clean that up? Yeah, the joys of practice ownership are many, y'all. But messy bathrooms aside, there are plenty of challenges with business ownership. I have seen some who've left their jobs, started a practice, only to discover they weren't really ready for that level of responsibility. And I would say ready for that level of growth. I've seen others who thrive in it, even when the learning curve is steep. How about you? Where do you think you are in all that? This is not for the faint of heart, y'all. I think of shifting from an employee to shifting to a CEO mindset is a little bit like going from high school to college. When you're in high school, you know what? Somebody else cares whether you show up to class or not, whether you finish that paper or not, whether you study for your final exam. Somebody else, most likely, is monitoring your behavior quite a bit. Somebody else is in charge, often. But when you get to college, nobody cares about that stuff. It's all up to you. Nobody cares. I mean, your parents might if they're the ones footing the bill, but your professors don't care if you show up to class or not. It's up to you to do the work. It's up to you to prepare for the exams. It's up to you to ask the questions you need to get the help you need. It's up to you to make sure that you get the education that you're paying for, that you deserve, that you desire. It's up to you. Well, it's a lot like that. I feel like that as a coachee when I am paying someone to help me. It's up to me to make the most of that. And I feel like that as a coach with my clients. I love them, but I can't do the work for them, right? Well, when you're the CEO of your own practice, when you run your own show, when you are your own boss, let me tell you, nobody else cares whether you show up at your desk at the time you said you were going to be there, whether or not you've got a client. Nobody cares whether you make the calls you said you were going to make or send the emails or write the letters or put together the marketing campaign that you said you needed to do. Nobody cares what you charge or how solid your boundaries are. I mean, your clients do to some extent, but nobody really cares about your success the way you are going to care about your success. That's up to you. And what Christine is talking about in that passage is that we are called to expand. Our businesses call us to expand by owning that responsibility. And personally, I love that. But it is indeed the hardest thing about owning a business. There is a downside, y'all, to entrepreneurship. There's lots of them. Lots of them. I've talked about this before. One of the biggest ones is isolation. I talked about that last week. There's a very real risk of negative self-talk that when something goes wrong, the income doesn't match what you thought it would be, or you can't find your way to take a vacation, or you have a client who fires you, or referrals aren't coming in quite the way you thought they would, or you just realize that you lost $12,000 because you weren't paying attention to what your billing company was doing, which happened to somebody I had interviewed on this show before, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that comes with being the boss that is not easy. And when things are hard, when things go wrong, and you're the only one sitting in your chair and you're it, dealing with that isolation, dealing with the negative stories that you will be tempted to tell yourself, that is a real hazard of running your own show. So I want you to think about this. Like in your journal, perhaps something you might do, like maybe you could do this in your journal. Maybe you can do this as you're just driving. I want you to think about your last job, your last job, or the one you have now, if you've got one. I want you to think about what responsibilities did you have to worry about as an employee? Well, you had to worry about showing up on time. You had to worry about getting your paperwork done on time. You had to worry about showing up for appointments. If you, depending upon what type of work you're in, you had to make sure that you had to meet certain ethical guidelines, certain competencies in terms of just the clinical work that you do, whether you're in psychotherapy or physical therapy or Reiki, whatever you do. There are lots of standards and lots of things you have to follow, right? As an employee, you had to make sure that you earned your paycheck and that you took care of your clients. But that's it. That's really kind of it. On the other hand, what did somebody else have to worry about that you didn't? Well, odds are good that as an employee, you had a regular paycheck that just showed up on time, whether it was weekly or biweekly or once a month or whatever. You got paid some certain amount that was the same amount all the time. And if you were lucky, maybe once a year, you might get a bonus or a raise. And it just showed up. It showed up in your account or it showed up in a check. It just showed up. What you didn't see was the other end of where that income was coming from. You didn't see what that company, agency, hospital, clinic, you didn't see what their billing looked like. You didn't see what their expenses, their overhead looked like. You didn't see which claims they didn't collect on, which services they provided that they never got paid for, which types of overhead they had that you didn't even know they had to pay, right? You didn't even think about that because that was somebody else's job. Not anymore. Not anymore. So where in your business now are you finding that you're the one that has to do the worrying? Where are you stepping into that? Where are you avoiding that? What tasks are you finding like are just really daunting? Like, I know I need to do that, but I hate doing that, Wendy. I don't even want to think about that. What tasks are you finding easier? Sort of like a nice diversion. I love talking about that. One of the things that I offer is called an IP360 consult. So you can get the tool for this for free. All you have to do is go to my website, wendypittsreeves.com/the numbers 360. You can download for free, easy peasy right there, a copy of this tool that I've created that will give you an overview of the overall health of your foundation, your practice foundation. It's based on the 7 pillars that I think every healthy practice has to have in place. And I will tell you, as I watch people complete this assessment more and more, there are some pretty distinct patterns that are beginning to show up. Almost always, of the 7 areas that have to be healthy and strong, the 3 that everyone most often struggles with are around payment, around processes, that is your systems. And just a quick heads up, we're going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks, so watch out for that. And then they tend to need help around promotion and marketing. Well, that makes perfect sense to me because as a healer, you don't have to worry about most of that stuff. You just have to worry about doing good work and caring for your people. But as a CEO, yeah, you got to think about how you're getting paid. You got to think about how you're marketing. And you got to think about how you're running stuff. What's the infrastructure that makes it all work? All of that is tricky. Yeah. If you would like some help with this, I'll tell you what, I really encourage you to go, if you haven't already done this, or if you've done it, but it's been a while, it's useful to go back and look at this again, do it again. Go get that scorecard, the IP360 scorecard, and complete it. See where you are strong, see where you need a little help. And if you are interested, I would love to do a consult with you like I did with this person yesterday. All you got to do is just reach out to me and I'll tell you how to schedule it. Okay? I would love to help you with that. I offer these for 90 minutes. It's $3.97 for that. I will tell you that up front. So if that just makes you go, then okay, maybe that's not right for you. But if an hour and a half of one-on-one coaching to help you look at the foundations of your practice and to give you some ideas about how to move forward the places where you're stuck, if that's kind of exciting to you, then we should talk because I would love to help you. So here's my action step for you. I would really want to encourage you to go get the scorecard and see how you're doing. because that does help you sort of think like a CEO or see where you need to up your game a little bit. And then I just want you to ask yourself the question, in your practice right now, where are you still thinking like an employee, where someone else has to worry about that, not me? And where are you being called to expand by stepping fully into the mindset of a CEO? Because, my friend, you are in charge. You're the boss. The way I want you to protect yourself is I want you to make sure that you have other bosses that you can talk to. Now, that could be a coach. That could be an accountability partner, somebody else who also runs their own practice, who knows exactly what it's like to be where you are because they're doing the same thing. It could be a mastermind. I am behind the scenes working on pulling together names for a mastermind that I would like to start. And if you're interested in that, reach out to me about that as well. And I'll tell you about that too. And with that, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. I just want to challenge you to pay attention to how you think. Protect yourself. Ask for help. Get some support. And don't be afraid to step into the leadership role and own this business for real from the inside out. Because you got this. And I'm right here to help you if you need it. That's what I got for you today. Have a great week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it makes you think a little bit. And I hope you'll come back and that I'll see you next week right here on the Ideal Practice Podcast. Bye now. Hey, y'all. If this program has become important to you, if Ideal Practice matters, it would mean so much to me if you'd be willing to take just a minute to do one or two of the following things. First of all, would you follow or subscribe to the show here at Ideal Practice? Following me helps you because you'll never miss an episode, but it helps me as well for all kinds of reasons. To do that, all you have to do is go to the show page for Ideal Practice on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. There, just click on the plus sign that you'll usually find in the top right-hand corner, or click on the word follow that you're going to find somewhere there on that page. Of all the things, this really is the most important thing you can do for the podcast itself. While you're there, it would be extra special if you would be willing to give me a 5-star rating, and even better than that, a review with your own words. Your words matter. And when you write what you feel, what you think, you uplift and encourage others. And I love that. If you want to go a step further than that, take your favorite episode or two, one of the ones that has meant a lot to you, and share it with a friend. Could you do one or two of those things for me? I promise I will love you forever. You guys matter to me, and I value your support more than I can possibly say. Thank you, sweet friend, for anything you can do to help me out and support the show. I'll see you again soon.